Hyundai Motor Group's Genesis luxury sub-brand continues to expand with this, the all-new Genesis G70 Sport sedan. Kind of all new. It's no secret this car shares its bones and powertrain with Kia's Stinger GT, a car that we really like, so it stands to reason we'll like this one as well. But what I wasn't prepared for was how much I'd prefer the Genesis experience. I mean, it's basically the same car, so what gives? Well, grab shotgun with me in this top-of-the-line 3.3T Sport model, and we'll dig right in. Okay, let's start with something familiar in the engine bay, where you'll find a 3.3-liter twin-turbocharged V6 engine making 365 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque. That engine is mated with, you guessed it, an 8-speed automatic transmission sending power either to the rear wheels or to the H-Track all-wheel drive system. Sound familiar? Yeah, I figured so. Now the deja vu continues at the base level, where the G70 can be had with a smaller, less powerful 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder and a 6-speed manual transmission if you so desire. But I think you'll want to stick with the V6. It's my sweet spot, particularly the Sport model, which ups the performance ante with an adaptive suspension and upgraded Brembo brakes, which shave off speed consistently and really complete the look. It turns out that handling is one of the ways that the G70 distinguishes itself most from the Stinger, and that's because the Sport sedan is around 6 inches shorter than the Stinger, 3 inches of which come out of the wheelbase. Now, that means that there's less room for legs on the second row, but the trade-off is that this car feels much more nimble, lighter on its toes around every corner. It's much more willing to rotate. In its sportiest setting, this car feels properly sharp, even when driven in moderation. It feels like a proper sports sedan with really good throttle response and good seat-of-the-pants feel and steering feedback. Very BMW-like, which is no surprise considering its engineering and tuning were overseen by BMW M Division expatriate Albert Biermann, whose sole job at Hyundai Motor Group has been to make its cars more fun to drive. Great job, Bert. Now in the cabin, you get a similar theme, familiar bones, but different details. So in front of me, we've got pretty much the same instrument cluster as the Kia that you use to switch between your different drive modes for sport, normal, custom, smart, and what have you. We've got very similar driver aid technology, features like adaptive cruise control that works in stop and go traffic, lane keeping steering assist, blind spot monitoring, and a 360 camera that aids in parking. And front and center, we've got pretty much the same infotainment, a reskinned version of the Kia Yuvo / Hyundai Blue Link infotainment system. Here it's called Genesis Connected Services. Its simplicity is its strength, no muss, no fuss. Plus Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are standard, so that's pretty much all that I need. You can learn more about that system in a separate video over on theroadshow.com. Plus, I feel like the Genesis positions its controls for heated and cooled seats much better than the Kia. They're right up here front and center with the rest of the climate controls rather than shoved to the back of the console on a weird toggle. Now, surrounding this technology is a cabin that just feels a little bit more premium than its Kia cousin. We've got a nicer dashboard with nicer materials. We've got these really nice, handsome, quilted and perforated sport seats that are almost as good to look at as they are to sit in. And my favorite detail is going to be this sharply knurled metallic material that they use for the volume knobs, the climate controls, and on details like the cup holder surrounds. I'm pretty sure it's not actually metal, but it feels close enough. These are all small details, but together they make large strides towards making this car feel more premium and much more luxurious. Now, speaking of luxury, one of the areas that I expected this car to distinguish itself more is with the price tag, but it turns out that the G70 starts at around the same $36,000 including destination as the Stinger. In fact, this top-of-the-line Sport model with its adaptive suspension, all the bells and whistles, and optional all-wheel drive tops the line out at around $53,000, within about $100 of the Stinger GT2 that's lurking in our long-term garage right now. So whether you prefer the smaller, sharper sport sedan or the larger but still really sharp Grand Tourer, you can't really go wrong with either of these cars, though I personally prefer the sedan. But enough comparing apples to slightly larger apples, let's get some different kinds of fruit in this conversation. If you're in the market for something like a Lexus IS, maybe an Audi A4 or BMW 3 Series, and you don't at least test drive the G70 and try on its performance and value for yourself, well, you're doing yourself a huge disservice because this car definitely belongs among those ranks, not just as a low-cost alternative, but as a bona fide contender, but certainly one of the best balanced in its class. Before you go, hit the subscribe button for even more cool roadshow videos.